In the heart of Reno, a documentary team shines a spotlight on the controversial roundups of wild Mustangs across the West. I have more on how this local issue is gaining worldwide attention. They are symbols of the untamed spirit of the American West. But as always, the future of wild Mustangs is at the center of a heated debate. A new documentary made by Tom Porter called America's War on Wild Horses and Burros is shedding light on the controversy and gaining international attention. The film takes humor,
wild horses, the most American animal if bald eagles are sick that day,
and mixes it with heavy topics.
Now we're learning that many of those horses wound up in slaughterhouses.
This is the captive bolt gun. It uses air pressure to shoot a bolt into a horse's skull.
You may recognize actor and animal activist Randall Massaro from your favorite westerns. When he's taking a break from playing one on screen, he's living the true cowboy life, fighting to protect wild horses from what he calls unjust roundups by the Bureau of Land Management.
We believe that the heritage of the West doesn't mean wiping out your wild horses and burros. They built America. We built America on the backs of these horses.
Massaro also leads a group of Hollywood actors who believe in preserving the legacy of the West and emphasize the horse's unique value.
These animals are our therapy animals for many veterans coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq with PTSD. These animals train people, the farrier trade in the prisons.
The documentary also features local wildlife ecologist Craig Downer, who once worked for the BLM but left after becoming disillusioned.
What drove me up the wall is that if there were wild horses there, they would blame them and ignore the vehicles, the livestock, the mines.
The turned whistleblower explains that a systematic scapegoating of horses is happening at the BLM. He claims the agency prioritizes special interest over the environment.
They figure easy target, but dealing with people and having to face a big old hefty rancher or a hunter with big old gun or a miner, that's a different story.
And now the film is drawing attention. America's War on Wild Horses and Burros has been chosen to be showcased at the Cannes International Film Festival, sparking a worldwide conversation. But those who made the film say it's more than just an expose. They say it's a call to action.
I really hope that it will inspire them to take an interest in the herds.
Speak up, get involved.
Well, welcome to Behind Enemy Lines. We have a very interesting guest, Randy Massaro, and he's not the porn star Randy Massaro, nor is he the wrestler. He is the cowboy. He is the Italian cowboy, Randy Massaro. And the first time we spoke, we hit it off big time because there's a lot of commonalities besides just being Italian from the both of us, right? So he is really a true cowboy, of which I was not. I bought 2 Arabian horses that almost killed me, which I shouldn't have. But he's a real Italian cowboy. He's an animal rights activist. He's been in movies like me. We got the commonalities there. His family's from the New York, tied into the Colombo and Bonanno crime families. We'll talk about that on the end. We'll save the exciting stuff for the end, right? But so Randy's the kind of guy who lives and breathes the Western way of life. He's raised around horses, the ranching lifestyle. Randy spent years in the saddle working cattle, training mounts, handling the everyday demands of a real cowboy work. He's known as the cowboy horse guy for a good reason, whether it's starting colts, keeping performance horses sound, reading a horse's mind, or simply doing the hard, dusty work that most people only see in the movies, of which he's in, many of them. Randy approaches it with the quiet competence and grit that define the genuine man that he is. Straightforward, no nonsense, deeply respectful of the animals and the land. He's a horseman other cowboys trust when the job needs being done right. If there's a horse that needs an understanding or a cowboy task that needs finishing, Randy is the man for that. How's that, Randy?
Thank you. I can't top that. Even what they write up on me out here in Hollywood, that was really good. I'll pay you later when we get together behind closed doors.
So thank you very much. We have so much interesting things to talk about, right? So if there's anything I missed on the intro that you would like people to know that we didn't touch on, because we'll go through everything, please, let us know. And then why don't you just jump in and about, the animal rights activist part of your life, as well as the horses and trying to save the wild horses, which people here in Chicago really don't know too much about it, right? And stuff that our buddy Obama was not very caring and loving of the horses, if I remember correctly. I don't know if that's true or not, but we'd like to learn a little bit more about that and how they would at times round them up, kill them, turn them into paste. And I remember when I had bought my Arabians, and that's a different story. And my uncle told me I should buy just a regular old barrel horses. And they're like, oh, they're selling horses, they're catching in the wild and stuff. Yeah, touch a little bit on some of that stuff. And then maybe at the end, you should say why a Southside Italian Chicago guy should never buy an Arabian horse just because his wealthy uncle had Arabian horses. And he warned me. He took me to buy a blind, retired barrel horse. I'm like, "Oh, I was only 24. I had all the drug money." I'm like, "I don't want that. I want one like yours, Unc." And they almost killed me. They almost killed me. So go ahead, Randy.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Well, first of all, thank you for asking me to be a guest on your Behind the Enemy Lines. And it truly is, because we call this America's dirty little secret, America's other war, America's war on its wildlife. And I came up with that moniker because, my family being from New York, but other than that, being Italian, Sicilian, growing up with my father, he brought me camping, fishing, backpacking, and I grew to respect nature. I never hunted, I never trapped. I don't really care for trapping. It's cruel, it's vicious, it's inhumane. But hunting, I realized we'll never stop hunting. Hunting was based on our ancestors, struggling for survival, coming west, and Native Americans hunted. But I think it's gotten to the point where it's overdone. We have hunting, we have trapping, we have, I don't know, 7 government agencies killing wildlife.
Jeez.
I mean, it starts with the Department of the Interior. It goes with the Bureau of Land Management. The Department of Agriculture is the worst of them all. It goes on to our U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, which is the feds killing wildlife, our state fish and game, which they promote hunting. So they side with the hunters at our meetings out here in California. You go with the National Park Service, that's rounding up wild mustangs. You go with the, I forgot some of the other agencies, but altogether there's maybe 7 or 8 agencies, beginning with the Department of Interior. So look at the Department of the Interior with tentacles like an octopus. And all these agencies are spending our tax dollars killing wildlife, whether it's setting traps or whether it's poisoning animals. Yeah, so I grew up loving nature, getting up close with the deer and what have you, and also befriending Native Americans, and they taught me how to respect nature as well. We're living in some times now where everybody's got a rifle, everybody's got a gun, everybody wants to kill something. How fair is it when you have a gun and you could shoot an animal a mile or 2 away?
Yeah.
You've got the professional scents that you put out there to attract the animals. You've got tree stands, you've got high-powered scopes, you've got binoculars, you've got hunting dogs. Everything's in our favor, the hunter's favor.
Yeah.
I mean, I often tell them, I'm pretty outspoken. I'm involved in politics. I'm the Davy Crockett type of guy that goes in with my fringe jacket. I wear fringe on behalf of the Native Americans, for they hunted for survival. They didn't hunt for sport or for financial gain. They hunted for survival, like our ancestor did coming west. But so you'll see me wear my fringe clothing. And people will say, well, if you're an animal rights activist, why do you wear fringe clothing? That was an animal. I said, yeah, I wear it in honor of the Native Americans that actually want to make me a member of their tribe. I'm Italian Sicilian. I'm a proud Italian Sicilian. My family from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, New York. And we'll talk about my family later and my upbringing and my roots. But I was always taught, never forget who you are, what you are, and where you came from. Never forget who got you there. Loyalty is everything to us. Well, have your friends ever said once they make friends with an Italian, they can't get rid of us? We're very clingy, which we show up like that bad penny. They keep throwing it away and we keep coming back. But no, I thought with my family's power and who my family was, I became, actually, my family said, don't do as they do, do as we say. I became a cop. I got into the back door being a state police officer for California. I was trained by the FBI, where gangs and drug cartels. The cartels put a hit on me in 1977, sent 3 sicarios to kill me. The Italians came out of Las Vegas and LA to protect me, but we'll go into that later also. And the Italians had all the gangbangers in a computer. So we know where all these gangbangers are. because it goes back to the time when the Italians ran the streets, whether it was Chicago, New York, Philly, Pittsburgh, or even California, when it was the Mexican movement, the La Raza movement. I'm sure you guys had
Yeah.
that in your time too.
Yeah,
The
we know
Cesar
what it is.
Chavez
Yep.
movement of the 70s, and Mexican gangs, civil rights was becoming strong, but the Mexican mafia was also becoming strong. La Onda, La M. And the Italians warned the Mexicans, don't bring in the drugs. Keep in mind, for people that don't know about the Italians, they didn't like drugs in the streets. They would never allow fentanyl if the Italians ran the streets.
But they did
Yeah.
pretend a lot more than they really acted upon the things. There was a lot of
Yeah.
bullshit from them, right?
Well, I mean, they dealt with drugs, but they didn't like it. Lucky Luciano, Big Paul Castellano.
Absolutely. And it was more the old school guys, right? I mean, and
Yes.
as the younger generations, they kind of, and that's what was part of the collapse of them. It really was. Part of it was
Yeah.
they didn't like to deal with drugs, not because they're really, and they are men of honor in certain ways, right? I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
But they also know that when the amount of time associated with drug offenses in the 80s was more than the other crimes, right? And so they knew it brought so much heat on besides destroying the neighborhood, which is a little part of it as well, but mostly it was the large sentences that led to cooperation that was the downfall of a lot of the mob guys.
Exactly. And that tied into me because I said, when my family with power, I figured, let me take something bad into something good and be the protector for the Vietnamese coming across during the Vietnam era. I became their protector. The Native American moving into a white neighborhood, I became his protector. The fat kid, the heavy kid getting beat up by a bunch of gangbangers. I walk right in the middle of the circle. I say, hey, orale pues, Chewy, Jose, hey, Carlos, orale pues, Batos. Hey, Ray, how are you? Come on out with me. And they're looking at me. There's 8 guys ready to beat him up because he's heavy, he's fat, he's white. It's always a gang. They've got the power when they've got 8 guys on one. So then I go back. I tell them to run like hell, go back, and I go back to the circle. And they say, hey, homie, what's up? I said, hey, guys, come on. Is that really tough? 8 guys against 1. Back east in New York, it's 1-on-1. I'm going to teach you a little bit about us back in New York. But besides that, I became a protector for all the kids getting picked on. The first blacks moving into Covina, a suburb of Los Angeles. 8 guys were chasing him. They were yelling some racial remarks. And I told him to go on my property. And I got surrounded by 8 guys, and they want to kill me now. And I was almost ready to do the Billy Jack stuff. I was friends with actor Tom Laughlin, Billy Jack. Yeah. And he influenced me, changed my life. I promised him before he and Dolores Taylor died, I would help save the wild Mustangs. And now I'm 67 years old, almost 68. And my days with Greenpeace are done. I was a Greenpeace rep in the 70s. And I joined this Union Members for the Preservation of Wildlife International, an underground animal rights group that started in 1970 after Greenpeace started out of Europe. And these guys came up to me and said, hey, we see you with Tanya Tucker, Loretta Swit, Tippi Hedren, William Shatner, Cindy Williams. We're protesting the clubbing of the baby seals in Newfoundland, Canada. They still do it today. They were protesting the whale killing. And now, of course, Greenpeace separated. They got Captain Paul Watson of the Sea Shepherd and Greenpeace, Patrick Moore. They separated. So there's a division right there. So once they divide and conquer, we become weaker. But no, I have a love for animals, you guys. And I think that's us with many Italians. How many Italian families do you not see with an animal? It's something that's in our blood.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's funny? So, I'm Italian and Polish, right? And the Polish side, my Polish side of my family's from central Illinois. My uncle's very wealthy, hunted all over the world. And we talked a little bit about this when we spoke. What I did not like, I'm not a hunter. I went bow hunting with him once and I fell out of the deer stand, almost broke my leg when I was and it's got to sit there and it's like I didn't like it. I never, and so then they would go hunting in Africa and Germany for boars and all over the world. But what I really did not like is when they went to Texas and it's not hunting. It really isn't, even though I love
it's called canned hunting.
My uncle's gone. He was my godfather, and my cousin's gone. Was like my brother to me. And they invited me, and they would pay, and I just didn't want to. I had no desire to go. I mean, it's just not. It's not hunting. If you want to go hunting, go with a bow and arrow. I mean, I had another friend that was a cop that would go to Africa and hunt with a bow and arrow. That's hunting.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
hunting.
I mean,
And I
you're
just,
right. The way the Native Americans did it until they received guns. You're absolutely right. I mean, but we have a heart for animals. We learn to respect nature. And while the hunter, out here in California, I'm known on all the TV stations, Channel 2, 4, 5, Channel 7, Eyewitness News, Channel 11, 9. And I bring in my Native Americans because one thing I learned with Greenpeace, we work with many of the native indigenous tribes, and the natives hold the deer, hold the bear sacred, the wolf, the coyote, the horse sacred, the eagle, the hawk. They hold many of these animals sacred. They consider them their relations, their brothers. So what makes me different? And I know you guys have a bunch of questions to ask, so I'm jumping the gun and telling you what makes me different than, say, PETA or Last Chance for Animals or In Defense of Animals or Humane Society. We put Native Americans in the forefront of the fight.
yeah.
So I learned that with Greenpeace, but now with union members for preservation of wildlife, keep in mind, these were Teamsters, union members at an underground animal rights group out of Europe. 1970s started it because the Upper Yalta horses were being killed. The Lower Danube horses were being killed. They eat horse meat in Belgium and France and all over Europe.
Yeah.
And plus they were killing off all their wolves. So this movement came about in Europe. They came out here and lo and behold, they did their homework on me, and they came to me and said, we'd like you to run our organization in the United States. We want you to become legal. We don't want you to be the underground group where these guys go in and they break the traps. They go into the fur farms and release all the animals and destroy the fur farms. I mean, I could talk about it, but I could talk about it, and I'm not doing it. But I mean, there are groups out there like Animal Liberation Front, Union Members for Preservation of Wildlife, Union Coalition Against Hunting and Trapping, which is a subordinate of union members. We have many subordinate groups because you confuse the enemy that way. But I'm on Facebook under Randall Massaro, Randall Massaro, or under Union Members for the Preservation of Wildlife International. You'll see chapters in Vermont. You'll see chapters all over California, all over we're popping up. But yeah, the Native Americans play a major role.
Interrupt you, Randy. Randall, I'll post on my page later your Facebook page. So those of you who are watching now, I'll repost it so you could find it on my.
Thank you.
Go ahead, buddy.
Thank you. No, so I thought, why not turn something from the mob, turn into something good and have power and create something good like being an animal rights group. But my family said, don't do as they do as we say. I became a cop, a state police officer. I was trained by the feds. I guarded high-ranking dignitaries in San Diego. I worked investigations. I even volunteered to go in the LA riots. And if you recall the LA riots, if you were white, you weren't going in South Central, Inglewood, Compton, East, all that area because it wasn't safe. And I took a special assignment to guard a food truck at 5 o'clock in the morning going through South Central. And needless to say, cops weren't going in this. They were packing. I went in with no badge, no uniform, plain clothes, and I had high security clearance. But I mean, I went in guarding this food truck. And about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I got approached by about 8 Crips. And they thought I was a cop because they seen my handcuffs. But here I am white. And they're all saying, man, we shoot people like you. And I said, listen. I said, how do I know you're not a rat? You're not a snitch. Do you know what we do to rats and snitches in Brooklyn, New York? And it just took them by surprise. They didn't expect that. And I said, the Crips started in 1968 with Michael Concepcion and Stanley Tilkey Williams. I proceeded to give them a history lesson about their gang, and they were in shock. They wanted to kill me at first, but by the time I rapped with them and, talked with them, they walked away and they thought I was crazy.
So tell us about tell us about the wild horses, right? And tell you like when they started, I guess, breeding a little too much. And I think that was in the late 70s. Is that if I remember correctly?
Yeah. Terry, don't believe that. That's a lie. It's a bunch of BS. And if your listeners out there believe that the wild horses are overpopulating and the burros are overpopulating, call me up. I'll sell you an iceberg out in the Mojave Desert really cheap. Yeah. If you believe that, that is what you call propaganda from the Bureau of Land Management.
So help me understand when they started saying that. So I'm not asking if you agree or disagree, right? I'm sure I believe.
Okay.
But when I thought in the 70s when it started, like they started pushing it and saying there's been overbreeding, right? Isn't it like the late 70s or no? Is that?
No, actually, if you look at the movie The Misfits with Clark Gable and Marilyn Monroe, horse roundups were going on even then. You could see them chasing the horses with the tires and the horse roundups have been going on for the longest time. When the horses came back from World War I think it was World War I and World War II, they used horses quite a bit, mostly in World War I. The government would send them down to Sonora, Mexico, or our Sonoran Desert, and our soldiers were waiting there with machine guns, and they would shoot the horses.
Wow!
So if you look up the movie with Don Johnson called "In the Pursuit of Honor," it's a true story on how these soldiers said, We can't do that to these horses. They built America. We built America on the backs of these horses. They plow our fields. They're our therapy animals. We watch them at the horse races. They brought Indians in the battle. They brought our soldiers in the battle. Now we're taking them by the thousand and shooting them. So these are dirty little secrets about our American government that has no loyalty to our wild Mustang that we built America on. Shot him with machine guns. Rent the movie In the Pursuit of Honor with Don Johnson. Make sure your listeners get that. But also look at the movie Billy Jack. I was friends with actor Tom Laughlin. Before he passed away, it showed him rescuing the horses from the kill buyers, Posner. And I remember the movie starts with, they're trying to round up the horses. They put them in the pen ready to shoot them. And then Billy Jack comes out of nowhere, Tom Laughlin, and he says, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but they asked how much do they get for horse meat? It was like 6 cents a pound. Keep in mind, Hershey, Purina, and all those big companies are dog food companies. And of course, now we won the fight in 1971 with Richard Milhouse Nixon signing the law, the 1971 Wild Horse and Free Roaming Act, that we cannot kill horses in the United States. So they found a loophole around it. So now they're convincing the Native Americans to kill the wild horses. So the Yakima tribe of Washington kills the horses, and up in Washington state, they're trying to convince the Sioux. They're trying to convince the Navajos and the Apaches. So they're approaching some of these tribes, and they're going to the Paiutes, and convincing them to try and kill the wild Mustangs. So what was once sacred to the Native Americans, now all of a sudden that almighty green dollar means more than their heritage, their culture, and their religion.
Yeah. So explain a little bit about how they roam freely and stuff, and some of the inks maybe from the ranchers or what their bitching is, right? And then so if they don't kill, what are the options you can do to save them? So if you stop them from killing, but then the government and these other groups say that they're overbreeding, how do you balance between trying not to kill them and then have a solution that would allow them to roam freely and not get killed? What is it how do you explain that to me? You understand what I'm trying to ask?
No, I know. I read you loud and clear, Terry. Leave it to an Italian to pose another Italian some tough questions, but I'm ready for you on this one, Paisan. Let me tell you. Number one, the horses are not overpopulating, and if you see any horses starving, that's because I'm going to say it. They were in an area that cattle have already been. Okay, the big fight here. Who wants the horses gone? The cattle industry. They have the biggest lobby in Washington, D.C., the meat industry, the sheep herders, the mining interests, the solar companies. They all want that BLM land. Now, keep in mind, the horses roam freely, but the horses are outnumbered 500 to 1 from the cattle and the sheep. So why, and if you round up so many horses, they're going to start inbreeding. And then, it's going to be a disaster. And then now what they've done is the Bureau of Land Management.
Wait, if they start inbreeding, they turn into Democrat horses.
Well, let me tell you, I'm known for saying this. And while I'm on the Republican radio show, the Patriot radio show called Nevada Radio Roundup, and Eddie Floyd's America Matters, Eddie Floyd has a horse rescue called Wynema Horse Rescue. So a shout out to Eddie Floyd. They're hardcore Republicans or patriots, and their show is basically about patriots, 2 shows, but they are hardcore animal lovers. However, when we go to the Bureau of Land Management hearings, you don't see one Republican sticking up for the wild Mustangs or our wildlife, nor do you see one Democrat. So really? I'm known for going to the,
really?
I'm sorry.
Really?
Oh yeah, no, really. I mean, if anything, more Republicans vote in favor of the horse slaughter than the Democrats. Well, Obama, you're right.
I believe that. I do. I thought the Democrats would really support and embrace trying to save the horses. And I mean, I'm not surprised.
More of them do, Terry, than Democrat. Yeah. But like Dina Titus, and there's other politicians out there. I'm not going to say no Republicans support it, but when you go to these meetings, it's neither party is there. I think they don't want to stick their neck out like a turtle and all of a sudden getting it chopped off. For some reason, many of them are getting scared to speak up. The powers that be, and keep in mind, how many of your people are military vets out there? Military vets, police, firefighters, school teachers. Do you know where they get the money from? The 200 million tax dollars a year to round up these wild Mustangs and put them in holding facilities across the United States? From our military, our police, our firefighters, our schools. They sneaky little bills, amendments, and riders in Congress. They happen to send a vote, and next thing you know, our military doesn't have that money anymore. Neither do our police or our firefighters. And we have a former BLM agent named Craig Downer who wrote the book, The Wild Horse Conspiracy. I have a shout out to Craig Downer. Get his book on Amazon or eBay, The Wild Horse Conspiracy. What about Captain William E. Simpson, who runs the Wild Horse Fire Brigade? Keep in mind, horses are good for our ecosystem. For you listeners out there, horses have one stomach. They don't digest the seeds. They poop it out, and dead land comes back to life. Cattle have 5 stomachs. They digest the seeds. They pull the grass out by the root. So do sheep. So that's why they don't like sheep and cows grazing the hillsides.
Got it. I didn't know that. That's
now if that we take that 200 million and we hire military veterans that are coming back from the war, or else hiring prisoners that need a job. They'd love nothing. These guys are raised on horseback. They're raised on the farms across the United States. Take that 200 million, create green-friendly jobs, hire them, put them out on the range 8 hours a day, bring in another shift, then bring in another shift, have them graze the hillsides. Listen, guys, you're back there in Ohio or Illinois, Chicago area. Listen, you may not be burning up like we are, but Canada allows horse slaughter. So you know what? Canada's burning up. I'm sorry to say, but they get what they deserve. Karma's a bitch. And in Mexico, we bring in the horses to Mexico and Canada to be slaughtered. Our $200 million pays for it. The kill buyers win. The dog food companies win. The kill buyers win. And these horses could be preventing wildfires. We burned up out here in California, Paradise, Northern California, Altadena, Pacific Palisades, where all the movie stars live.
Preventing forest fires. I think, if I understand correctly, you're talking about how they could poop out seeds and they grow new greenery and stuff to stop fires from, old shrubbery and stuff, right? Because
they eat the dry grass.
Yeah.
They eat the dry grass, the overgrowth.
It's a combination of the overgrowth and the new growth that's green. It's a mix of both. Right?
Yeah, well, it's the problem in California, zero land management. They won't even let people manage stuff around their houses. The horses would help fix that problem. And a lot of it is all the dead brush, the dead leaves, the dead everything that's out in the forest that for some insane reason they won't let you touch even on private property. So all it takes is one spark, one lightning bolt during a heat wave, and suddenly you've got 1 million acres burning. Yeah, I mean, it's a simple problem. Same thing in Canada. They used to have good forest management up there 20 years ago. Like I'm in Ohio right now. So, I mean, today's been a clear day. But yeah, we had about a week and a half of smoke coming down from the Canadian wildfires. The skies were red here every morning and every night. You could smell the smoke in the air and this weird burning plastic smell, too. I still haven't figured out where that came from. But yeah, it's simple common sense. And this is kind of that balance of, and one, we do want to protect, especially animals like the wild horses, but you got to have common sense. You can't you can't let these environmental wackos take over, but at the same time, you don't want policy that harms animals either.
Yeah. So
right, Michael. No, you're absolutely right.
Oh, go ahead, Randy.
You're absolutely right, Michael. But again, this is better for the ecosystem. The wild horses, I think we owe a debt of gratitude to, and we have no loyalty here in the United States. And for the military vets, you think they'd be getting on this. You think the fire departments all over the country would be getting on this, but maybe they're afraid of their job. It's job security. Have more fires, keep the firefighters busy. But in reality, look at Canada going up in flames. We could prevent these wildfires. How much did your insurance go up? Out here in Canada, I'm out here in California, everybody's insurance is skyrocketing because of the wildfires. You say you live in a fire-prone area. I live out in the high desert. There's not much to burn out here, but our fire insurance went up, and yet our infrastructure is burnt up. We could prevent this, guys. I mean, I hate to say it, but when I go to the political meetings, when you'll see on my Facebook page, I'm with Mayor Villaraigosa, I'm with Republicans, John Cox, I'm with Kamala Harris. I'm posing with all these politicians because that's what my job is, to reach out to the politicians and give them new ideas to save money, our tax dollars being wasted.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned something about Mexico. So is there a workaround where, in 1971, you said Nixon said no killing of horses in America. Are they sending them to Mexico and letting them do the killing?
Yep.
Oh yeah, they're stacking up the truckloads. Except right now, there's what you call the screw worm. The screw worm is halting the horses, so they're leaving the horses in the trucks to die. You would think animal control or somebody down there would stop it. Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, California. People could follow my Facebook pages.
What are you guys doing to expose that? Are you going down there and expose that shit? That's bullshit.
Yeah, I haven't. My colleagues have. So other animal rights groups are. Now keep in mind, here's the dirty little secret. Many of these wild horse animal rights groups, I'm not going to mention the names because I don't want to get sued, and I know you don't either. So I'm going to,
Yeah.
again, mum's the word, but everybody says they're a wild horse rescue. They're a sanctuary. But keep in mind, they're dealing with the devil because they made deals with the Bureau of Land Management to receive money from the BLM to sterilize the horses. Listen, the first thing they teach you in FBI training is get in, create chaos, divide and conquer. That's what they did with the Native Americans. They had mescaleros fighting Membrino Apaches. They would hire other tribes fighting other tribes, Crow and Pawnee versus the Sioux, the Cheyenne. And that's what the feds have always done. So what they're doing is they're creating the lies, the deception, telling everybody the horses are overpopulating, they're starving. How many pictures and videos do you see of horses starving unless it's at a sanctuary that can't afford to get the donations up,
Right.
and then they let the horses starve?
So if you guys ever go to Mexico, I would love to go with you to expose that shit. I would love to.
Really? Well,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can connect you to Craig Downer and some other people on my Facebook page. You'll see that I posted a lot of things from the other groups. Unity is everything in our union members for preservation of wildlife, because without being unified, we're going to be fighting each other. And we do that anyway with the wolves.
Everyone that knows me, I am by no means a bleeding heart liberal. I'm hardcore right MAGA, but that's bullshit to let a horse die. And it's fucking bullshit. It pisses me off to even hear that that's allowed, and then to allow them to go from America to Mexico to be treated like that and know that's going to happen. That's ridiculous.
In Canada too. Canada and Mexico, it's legal. I talked to the consul of Mexico, and he said, Senor Massaro, he said, you can't expect us to stop the horse slaughter. He said, your guys are the ones committing the crime. You guys are sending your horses to us. So if you're sending your horses to us, that's jobs for us in Mexico.
Yeah.
So they're willing to sell out the horses.
It's no different than the drug trade. They're saying it's our fault because we want to do drugs. They're going to keep populating and putting fentanyl all over our country. So it's our fault. So yes, there is some truth to that because of the supply and demand issue, but it doesn't hold water.
Yeah, they're basically just outsourcing it down there. They made it illegal here, and now we're sending. I'm just looking this up as you guys were talking. As many as 50,000 horses go to Mexico for slaughter every year. I can't find a solid number on Canada, but it's disgusting. Yeah, people get sick of it here, so then they, rather than talk about it, rather than solve the problem or do something about it, we're just going to push this off where nobody can see it. We'll send it down to Mexico or up to Canada.
Everyone's cashing in on the horse slaughter trade. The horses are being sold out, guys. And look at Billy Jack again for your listeners. Billy Jack, it started with the movie The Born Losers, where he takes on the bikers, and it goes to 1970 or 71, Billy Jack. Then it goes the trial of Billy Jack, and Billy Jack goes to Washington. But now let's talk about the Native American culture. These animals are sacred to Native Americans. With our animal rights group, we teamed up with other animal rights groups. Here in California, we won the fight to protect the wolves returning to California. For any visitors coming out to California, if you guys ever come out to our wolf rescue. We have 20 wolves at the wolf rescue. It's called Wolf Mountain Sanctuary on Lucerne Valley, California. Look it up. You can kiss a wolf on the lips. The wolves howl around you. There's only like 2 wolves that are trained. The other ones will kill you. They're different kind of wolves. They can't be together because they fight, Yeah. So, but no, the Sons of Anarchy come out, the cast and crew of Twilight. I brought Johnny Crawford from the Riflemen out here. We were in the parades together. A lot of celebrities do love animals, and it's all part of our environment, our ecosystem. But we're in a cruel world right now where everything is being sacrificed, whether it be the elephants, the rhinos, the horses.
We got tons of rhinos in Illinois.
Yeah, they're a growing species there.
You guys are bad.
I'm a rhino hunter here. I hunt those rhinos.
Yeah, I know. So I know what you guys mean.
Yeah, why don't we get to your movie part of it, and then we got to get into the organized crime family stuff. But why don't you, Mike? Why don't you got some of those pictures? He sent me a few. You've been in movies as a cowboy. There you are. So you want to talk before we go to the next photo? Why don't you talk a little bit about you being the Western cowboy?
Right. Well, the Italian cowboy came from the nickname Rich Rossi. Rich Rossi was the Italian cowboy. He came to my house and had my wife cooked him up a meal along with Pete Almond from Celebrity Scene News. He's a Donald Trump lookalike. His movie is coming out. You can put Pete Allman on your show eventually. He is a Donald Trump lookalike. He did his show on Donald Trump, but no, they've all gotten involved in animal rights. All my dear friends, actor friends, and I do play a cowboy. I play a politician. I play an Ameritrade executive. I played a border agent. I play a lot of roles. A police officer. You could look up Quinn, Quinn. There's Rich Rossi. There's Tom Sizemore.
Yeah.
Icon
Wait,
Tom Sizemore, myself.
Sizemore's from Chicago, right?
I believe so. I'm not sure, but we were all friends.
He plays a cop, right? Is
Tom
that
Sizemore?
No, is that a different guy I'm thinking of? Sorry.
No, Mike Shanto on the other side of me. His parents were movie stars, and he plays a cowboy. But there he was dressed like a mobster. We were doing the Rich Rossi movie, The Italian Cowboy, shooting up in the high desert at the Roy Rogers Ranch and all over the high desert of Victorville. We had Eric Roberts, Eliza Roberts, Tom Sizemore, Mike Shanto, Rich Rossi, from the guy he did 18 movies. Rich Rossi did opposite Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Tom Sizemore. He became friends with them. And we had Artie Pasquale from The Sopranos, Robert Miano from Donnie Brasco, Nino Fiore from Gotti. We had the Naked Cowboy of New York. We had a lot of people in this movie. It was going to be where Yellowstone meets Tulsa King. But unfortunately, in the middle of filming, Rich Rossi passed away. He was fighting fourth stage cancer. After Rich Rossi passed away, they had to start rewriting the scripts because he was the main star. It was called The Italian Cowboy. And then Tom Sizemore passed away. So again, we had to stop, rewrite the scripts again. And no sooner Angel Salazar from Scarface passed away. So there's 3 of our big stars and they passed away. Wow. So they gave me permission to shoot the movie again. But now the ownership goes to the editor that invested money into it and actor Mike Shanto. But now they want to make it a comedy, so it's on hold. But I still got credit for The Italian Cowboy. But go to Quinn Dash Polls. There I am with Danny Trejo. Yeah, in fact,
that's a really good picture.
Danny is cool. Danny is. He's big money, man. He everybody wants Danny. Everybody loves him. He's down to earth. He was in connected with the Mexican mafia and the gangs, came from the streets. He did his time in prison, paid his debt to society. But Danny, you got to go visit his taco restaurant. Danny Trejo's Tacos in Hollywood, when in visiting Hollywood.
And sorry,
Danny's cool.
And sorry, I cut you off a second ago. Were you saying that picture's from Dusk Till Dawn?
No, that was
okay.
Just recently. We were at the Saban Theater together. He was with the band Tierra. He came out to support them and honor them. But I actually guarded Quentin Tarantino, Bobby Rodriguez, Juliette Lewis, Harvey Keitel, Cheech Marin, and Danny Trejo on the set from Dusk Till Dawn when I was a security guard before I ever became a police officer. And so I was guarding them on the set, but I didn't get pictures with them. I had to be professional. Now that I'm an actor, he's posed with me several times, and and he's cool. Eric Roberts is great. I love Eric and his wife Eliza, so a shout out to them. Hank Garrett from Car 54, Where Are You? With Deanna Marie, Red Warrior, his wife. Steve Connors from The Rifleman. Kathy Garver from Family Affair. I'm hanging out with all these celebrities. I'm doing movies with other celebrities, but again, trying to get the celebrities involved to speak out about the war on wildlife. Keep in mind, guys, being an actor, there's no ego here. I do it for the wildlife and for the animals. That's why I do it. I'm no big actor. 15 movies, 8 documentaries. I just won my first 2 awards. So,
it's cool.
Whatever I can to draw attention to the plight of our wildlife. But keep in mind, guys, the dirty little secret is everybody's out to get the horses. They're used as a scapegoat, the same way coyotes are used. Coyotes are our best friends. I'm sure you have coyotes in Chicago, the same as wolves. Yeah. We won the protection for the wolves returning to California. We now have 9 packs of wolves in California ever since the last wolves were killed in 1921. We won the fight to ban hound dog hunting on bears and bobcats in California. We won the fight to ban bobcat trapping due to our undercover footage of them killing bobcats. So we're winning the fight out here.
Mike,
so
Mike, as I'm talking to Randy, I sent you some text message. I didn't tell him about this other common thing that me and him have together that I want you. Could you see what I sent you?
No, I don't see anything here yet. I'm looking right now.
All right, the animals.
I'd have to get up and get my phone. You sent me something, or you sent it to Michael?
I sent it to Mike for him to put it on while we're talking.
Sure.
So, have you done any like horseback riding in your movies and stuff like that? That like sort of semi stunt kind of stuff.
I mean, we have to do our own stunts, like on the movie NLE Choppa's music video. Just go to Quinn Dash Polls. That's probably the easiest way to look it up. I play a cop, and I'm with my agent, my talent agent. He's the police officer driving the car. I'm the other police officer shooting at the gang guys. They're shooting back at us. But we have to do our own stunts there. I haven't, and some other movies, we've done our own stunts, diving for cover and stuff. If it's written in our contract, we have to do it. I'm not a horseback rider, really. I've won second place ribbon on horsemanship.
You're not?
No, I ride horses, but I'm not great at it. I probably fear them more than ride them. Now my cowboy friends, all my friends are big on horseback riding. Jim Heffel, he's a cowboy. He's been in many westerns. Again, Johnny Crawford from the Rifleman. I have ridden horses, and you'll see me with horses in my Facebook, and you'll see me on horses. But do I? Is that my expertise? Hell no.
Okay.
Are you kidding? I'll run fast the other way. Horses scare me. I'm not a stunt rider. I just play a cowboy on horseback.
You know, horses scared me too, and I should have never bought. I sent you some more, Mike. I don't know if those pictures came through. I sent you a few. I sent too many at one time. So
okay.
Yeah. So when I was in my 20s and I was making all that money, the dirty illegal money, and my uncle, he had he like show Arabian horses. Like what's his name? Newton from Las Vegas. What's his name?
Tony Spilatro?
No, the big singer in Vegas that had horses. Arabian.
Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis, Frank Sinatra.
What's his name? Newton. Wayne Newton.
Wayne Newton.
Wayne Newton.
Wayne Newton. Donka Shane.
Oh, yeah. So this is, back in the 80s. And so I, like an idiot, I was engaged to a girl named Dawn, so I bought an Arabian horse, and I called her Dawn. I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but I was there.
That's typical Italian. That's what we do.
I was trying to honor her, but I don't think she was honored when I called the horse Dawn.
They don't look at it as being honored. You name the dog, or you name the horse after your wife or girlfriend. No, they don't look at it that way.
And so they sent the horse to only to be broken in 2 weeks. That's it, right? So I never rode outside of in the forest preserves over here when you're in line with a bunch of people. And before, my uncle kept saying, "Don't buy." I was a big muscle head, Mister, whatever.
Okay.
And I'm like, "Oh, no, I want to have a nice one like yours," And he took me to this guy who had a blind, one-eyed barrel horse that was retired. And I'm like, and you compare that to the Arabians that my uncle had that were show horses. I'm like, I don't want that effing thing. Are you kidding me? I'll be embarrassed to put it in your barn, So I bought.
Yeah, but that was a mob thing too. That was a mob thing to invest in horse racing, race horses, or show horses.
Yeah, Jimmy Feccarata, you're probably watching. He had race horses and stuff, and not that Jimmy's a mob guy. He knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. But so I bought this horse, and I came down from Chicago. And I told my uncle to bring my horse back. I want to ride it in front of my fiance. And it didn't go well. So I didn't know when you saddle the horse up. I'm trying to pretend I've never done it before. And I know, like they expand their bellies when you put a saddle on them. You're supposed to knee them and get the air out, So for those you don't know, especially when they're not broken in and they don't want to be rode. So they blow up their stomach so that when you tighten the saddle, it loosens up when you start riding. But I didn't know that. So here's me. I'm 225-pound muscle head on the horse, and I'm riding. My little cousins that live on the farm were laughing before I even got on the damn horse, and I'm going like this. I'm like, whoa.
Oh Jesus!
Oh. And
that's like me.
I try to straighten the saddle out. I'm like this, and then my foot came out of the stirrup and hit it in the stomach. Because I slipped out, and all of a sudden it was like double bucking. It was like, I'm like, whoa, I flew straight up and I came down and my elbow went into my stomach and my ribs, knocked the wind out because I went I thought I would die. Like my cousins were worried about the horse because the saddle was dragging behind the horse. I'm laying on the ground thinking I'm dying, and they're chasing the horse with the saddle dragging behind it because they don't want the horse to get hurt. So,
oh my God, they don't want the horse to get hurt. Forget about you. Don't want the horse to get hurt.
No, I didn't keep that horse that long. I bought 2 of them, and it was just so stupid.
I got the 3 pictures you sent.
All right, so this is down in Effingham where I rode the horse. This is just 3 of multiple animals. There's me on top of my uncle's lion when I was.
Oh my God!
I was in 7th grade, I think. There.
Lord,
There's my
look at that.
grandfather. He's not here anymore. He
Oh, sweet Jesus.
yeah, this is in the
Oh,
70s.
Madon Minga, look at that.
There's,
Jeez.
there's me and my brother on Rayor. And my uncle had
What
lions,
is it?
tiger. That's a lion. It's a lion, Rayor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's he was a very eccentric millionaire. He had lions,
My
tigers,
Oh
wolves,
my God.
bobcats, and it was pretty cool. It really was. It was great.
Yeah, I've got a friend who has a tiger sanctuary in northern Nevada, outside of Reno, also. So, I mean, what is it about us Italians? It's like we all love animals and tiger sanctuary and lions and horses, and I don't know. Can't say we don't have a heart. We
Yeah.
love animals, but
I could have
I
fed
think
some of my enemies to it in the 80s. I'm kidding.
yeah, I bet, and you actually say that on radio. Oh boy, okay, I didn't hear a thing.
I'm joking. I'm reborn. I'm
Of course.
I'm not reborn, but I'm like I'm reformed. I'm reformed.
You better get out of this one real quick.
Yeah.
But, no. Oh my
let's
God.
see. We got what's the third thing we wanted to talk about that you did?
The mob.
Oh, the mob. How could I forget that one? Holy shit. Oh my God.
It's been a long day over there, Terry, huh?
Yeah. You have such an interesting life, Randy. So oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that part. So tell everyone a little bit about the family that was on the East Coast and go ahead. I'll hand
Sure.
it over to you.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is talking with my family. Growing up young, you're in the 50s, the 60s. My family, growing up in my house, my family moved out of Brooklyn, New York in 1953, came out to California. But my mom told me about, my mom's family was connected. My dad was I don't say I'm a proud Sicilian. He was Sicilian. My grandfather was from Palermo, Sicily, and my grandmother was from Calabria on my dad's side. My mom's side was from Naples, Sorrento. So I'm Napolitan, where
Yeah.
La Camorra is from, their
Yeah.
own mafia, and of course Sicily, where the Black Hand, La Cosa Nostra is from. And but my mom's family was connected because I remember my dad came back from World War II. He was a staff sergeant, and I guess he was like Raging Bull. My dad was small, stocky, built like a rock, and I guess some guy was ordering him around.
1 second. So my aunts and my uncles in World War II, the Italians, they were treated like shit, weren't they, in World War II?
Yes,
Right?
yes,
But that's a whole
yeah.
different story. But we were treated like shit. You talk about fighting for the country and stuff. They went to fight for the country and they gave them the shittiest jobs. They talked to them disrespectful. It's a whole different show we could talk about, but go ahead.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, because Italians even got hung in New Orleans. 12 Italians got hung. They treated the Italians
It was the
poorly.
biggest in the
but
country ever. Yes, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, the prejudice with every group, but I think, the Irish were here first, the Germans, a lot of other nationalities. The Italian immigration was from 1890 all through the 20s, and that was the big major influence.
Yeah.
But again, my family, my dad wasn't, I don't think he said, don't say you're Sicilian. So I guess he grew up not to say you're Sicilian, but my mom was a tough Italian. My mom will be proud to tell you. But the guy was ordering my dad around. My dad, didn't take it very well. My dad was like a raging bull going after the guy. The guy threw a hammer at my dad, threw a screwdriver, threw a brick at him. Finally, the guy stabbed my dad, put him in the hospital, and then some knocked at the door, and my mom and dad were going to take him to court. However, my mom and dad didn't know he was connected. So this guy comes to my mom's house and says, "Are you Mrs. Massaro?" Okay, yeah, I'm Mrs. Massaro. Who are you? Says, "Well, I'm from the blah, 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 blah." Anyway, I'm not going to say anything, but he says, "I was sent here to talk to you, and maybe not even talk to you, but rough you up." He said, "But you're Sal Di Gennaro's daughter. We're not going to touch you." He says, "But you're not going to win the case in court. The judge is ours." So, anyway, he stabbed my dad, but he saved my dad's life. My dad was dying of malaria. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. So, needless to say, my family comes out west. My rest of my family is connected to the Bonanos, the Colombos, the Gambinos in various ways. Because we're all Massaros, Di Gennaros, Guerriers, Spinellas, Di Avanzos, Vasicas, Batonis, Cardonis, Di Palermos, and of course, we're all connected with the other families. But Rudy Giuliani writes about my family in his book. My Native American friends found a Di Gennaro, my uncle Di Gennaro from Buffalo, New York. They wrote about my family in another mafia book from Buffalo. It's all on my Facebook page. My family was the stars of the reality show Mob Wives. So my cousin Lee and Lewis, my cousin Lee dated Sammy the Bull Gravano's daughter, Karen Gravano. Evidently, they broke up. It was bad feelings between them. My cousin Lee married an Albanian girl, Drita, who was the star of Mob Wives. So Mob Wives was basically about all these Italian women married to mob men. And but it was Karen Gravano and her cronies versus, say, Drita and her cronies over
Yeah.
my cousin
So
Lee. He was a playboy.
let me interrupt real quick. We talked about
Go
this.
ahead.
No, I don't think I ever said this on the show or even to Mike before. And Jimmy Faccarata, you're probably watching, you greaseball, Mukarata.
Oh shit.
I dated his cousin a little bit, Renee Faccarata, and she was in Chicago.
Right.
She was in Chicago Mob Wives, and Jimmy, she Jimmy was pissed off because they were not happy that the men were not happy that the women did this bimbo Lena bullshit about the mob and the Mob Wives.
Yep.
Jimmy was pissed.
Michael Frenzy said the same thing to me. He was not happy.
Yeah, and Jimmy's cousin was not as tightly coupled with Jimmy's father like she pretended. It was kind of an embarrassment to Jimmy and his family, and I understand why. And I respect Jimmy. He spoke out about it. I think he went in the news. He was so pissed about,
Oh my God.
they made us look like fools. And I only took her out a few times because she was, I'm Italian. My mom hates when I say this. She was too much of an effing dago for me. It's like the fluff hair. It's like, oh my God.
Oh geez.
Plus, she's
The
Jimmy's
old
cousin.
style.
Oh, yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
there's only 2 dates, I think. And it's like, I never
Like
really,
when you see Bronx Tale, Chaz Palminteri's Bronx Tale, how the Italian women had the fluff and the skirt. I mean, Chaz is great. I met Chaz Palminteri when he was out here in California. That's my favorite all-time movie is Bronx Tale.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of the way I grew up. I was going to elementary school in Covina. Nobody knew of mobsters at my mom's house in Covina. It's a suburb of Los Angeles. And I'm waking up to go to school, and this Italian guy's guns, money on the table. Here, kid, here's a buck. Get me a cup of coffee. Here, kid, here's a buck. Get me a glass of water. I'm making bank before I even go to the friggin' school.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, this is your Uncle Vinny. This is your Uncle Johnny. This is your Uncle Tony. This is your Uncle Guido. Jesus, I got more friggin' uncles than Carter's got
Oh my God.
peanuts.
You know what is funny about the Italians? That and Jimmy Buccarati, you do it all the time, as well as Kenny Gadio and all my other buddies. They're like, oh, that's my cousin. I'm like, is it really your fucking cousin or just saying it?
Yeah.
But it's my cousin. It's like, okay.
Everybody's related. Oh, you can't keep up anymore.
Right? I have a joke, and both sides of my family hated this joke, and I made this up in my early 20s when I was getting in trouble. But I would, because Italian and Polish, right? So I would say,
Yeah.
the Italian side, they keep getting me into crime. My mom's family was not like that. I mean, my mom's uncle was tied in Boston and stuff, but I was like the black sheep of getting back into that stuff. But I said the Italian side of the family gets me pulled in and sucked into crime. The Polish side kept getting me caught, so I had to get a new fucking job. I kept getting arrested.
Oh,
And then
yeah, the Poles were very straight. Yeah.
Oh, the Polish guys got mad because it was a dumb Polak joke. And then, oh, you make the Italians look like they're all these gangsters. And I'm like, it's like both sides did not like my joke. I thought it was funny. I use it to this day, 40 years later.
Oh my God, we could laugh about it because we could see it. But yeah, I'm writing a book. I got approached by 7 editors to write a book about growing up, in a mob-connected family with the cartels after me, the mob coming to rescue me, being a cop, working with the feds. Now I'm exposing the feds, even getting threatened by the feds. Mr. Massaro, you're on our terrorist list. Well, I said, I hope I'm number 1, Agent Chalico, because I was with you in Arizona. We were selling guns to the Mexican drug cartel. Remember Fast and Furious? I made New York Magazine on that. So, yeah, the feds are pissed with me now. I mean, you don't work with them and then expose them, but the cartels wanted to kill me. The feds are pissed with me. The gangs, it's like, man, I got to take cover. But no, I'm, everyone says, aren't you worried that someone's going to come up and do a hit on you? But no, I have enough information logged where if anything happens, it's noted. It's like my insurance policy on both sides. I die and something funny is about it. The good guys send it to the, bad guys send it to the good guys, gets it to the media. I'm not going to be anybody's, I don't rat anybody out. I'm not a rat, and I'm not mentioning names in my book either. Just, I think they want to call it the mafia, the cops, the gangs, the cartels, and me, something like that. So, I think it explains it all in my life, but nothing about the wildlife. So I got to put the wildlife story in there because I get in trouble with the wildlife.
It's like, because we talked before, I got different chapters of my life. I'm doing a book and a story as well. It's like, got these 3 different chapters of my life that are totally different between, the stuff I did in Chicago and the bad stuff, then the corporate America, now the politics. They're three totally different parts of my life. But I think I really do, and I know this, sounds weird, but I think and I got my degree at 37 after going to state and federal prison, straightened
My
myself out,
God.
went to college at night, got my degree. I swear to God, I know this sounds weird. The stuff I did in the 80s prepared me more so for this corporate America, for this politics and this fighting and reading people. It was much more valuable than getting a college degree. I swear to God. I'm not glorifying
Wow.
it. I'm not um, I'm not proud of who I was. I'm proud of who I became. I do enjoy what I did. It was pretty damn fun. I gotta admit that. The
He
prison part
liked
was
it.
not the prison stuff wasn't fun, but the before that was fun. It was fun. I would be lying if I said differently. It was the
Right.
excitement and, it was wrong. It was wrong, but it was fun. And those things that I
See, I didn't
learned.
do anything wrong, Terry. I
Yes.
didn't do anything wrong.
Well,
You did time in the joint. My
you had
family did
you
things.
had the exciting stuff on the police force, and I mean, and when the last edition of my high school newspaper, it said 10 years from now at the 10-year reunion, Terry Newsom will be either a police officer or in jail. And there's kind of
Ah.
I mean, there is a kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like even though they're different sides of the fence, it's on the same side of it's kind of weird. It is. I think
Well, your partner Michael looks like a tough guy too. Looks like he could have been right there in the cell with you. I mean, I look at Michael on the show here, and he looks like he looks more like a cowboy than me. I mean, God, I got cast to go on Yellowstone, but I was 2 inches too short. The agency that cast for Tulsa King and Landman is calling me up. They want me on that, but I don't belong to that agency. But
yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at Michael. He looks like a real cowboy because they all have the beards. I got a baby face. I just have this old mustache, but I mean, now you
Yeah.
look like a mobster, though,
Yes, me
Terry.
too. I mean, but
Michael looks
like,
more like a cowboy.
uh, yeah, so like when I was in the movies, I was a gangster 6 times. That's all it was when I was a stuntman. Which I enjoyed
Yeah.
that. That was a blast. I had a fun time doing that.
Oh, I
So
bet. I
yeah,
mean, but you look like in a suit. You look like a gangster, and
yeah,
Michael looks like a cowboy. Um,
I'll take
yeah,
that as a
I think
compliment. Yeah, G.
yeah. I mean it as a compliment because, all due respect, I was never in jail. I didn't do anything wrong. I was Mr. Goody Two Shoes. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. Didn't do drugs. Heaven help me if I brought attention to the family. If I got in a fight at school, if I come back, I'm going to get my ass kicked because I brought attention to the family.
you know,
Supposed to be under the radar out here in California
yeah,
until my family comes out on the news. My cousin gets gunned down in New York City, and everyone knows who my family is. Now I'm a cop, and everyone's going, now we know who you are.
yeah,
So I was working Santa Anita, and the officers all came and running up and got me. Said, Randy, you got to meet this guy. You got to meet this guy. Are you related to him? I said, who is he? Look at that guy in the baggy clothes and the baggy shirt. And he's reading the racing form. I'm at Santa Anita as a state officer there. And I said, who is he? His name is Frank Renzulli. Frank Renzulli, he's the writer for The Sopranos. Of course I know Frank.
yeah,
So I'm telling everybody to get off the floor. And I'm
yeah,
saying, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, we got to get off the floor. We got to clear the floor. You can go to the other side to go gamble on the ponies, but we got to get you out. And the guy's sitting here, hey, I'm reading here.
yeah,
And I says, hey, Maron, Mingya, are you going to give me a hard time? He says, are you Italian? I says, of course I'm Italian. And I know who you are, Mr. Renzulli. And I says, I know you. I'm Randy Massaro. And he says, you're busting my balls. So, anyway, I got him off the floor. But no, I mean, it's just the way we are. Back east
yeah,
people were open, we're loud, we're honest.
yeah,
And, but I
yeah.
mean, no, I got to honestly say, nothing taught me more than the mobsters I grew up with in my family. They all taught me about life,
Yeah.
about the loyalty, honesty, integrity, devotion, dedication, smart business. All this stuff that builds character. And you'd think, how does the mafia build character? You'd be surprised.
I told you that was more important to me than my college education and stuff. Or I swear to
Yeah,
God, I know it
by
sounds.
far.
I'm not trying to. It was wrong. The things were wrong. But when I would speak to inmates when they got out of prison, right, and try to give them hope and motivation about how after I got into corporate America, and I said, listen, guys, if you're going to be out there committing crimes, there's no shortcut. We all get caught, right? We either get caught, we get
Yeah.
killed, we go to prison. I mean, we get robbed and stuff. So there's no shortcut. Doesn't matter how smart you are. Look at Noriega. This is back then. He ran a country. He gets picked up. So if you could run
Yep.
an illegal criminal business and be successful, you could be successful in a legitimate business. right? Because you have all the same things to worry about: accounts receivable, deliverables, sales, warehouse, all that stuff. Except you got to worry about getting murdered, robbed, killed, going to prison. And if you could do that and you try to apply yourself into the legal world, you will be successful without having to go to prison. And I,
Right.
but I didn't.
Go ahead, Michael, Terry.
I didn't listen when I was, I mean, it's like you try to tell these young kids when you have a chance to make so much money before you, and it's hard to turn it down. It really is. And
Oh yeah, it's tempting. What do you think it's out there now? These kids in high school are bringing BMWs, Maserati, all this sort of thing. I had a 64 Chevy Impala for my first car. And then I had a 68 Buick Skyhawk or Skylark. And then I had my my Mercury Capri convertible. Then I got the Chevy Cavalier convertible. Right now I've got a 91 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme convertible, which is a very rare car. We only made hardtop. They didn't make soft top.
I had a 64 Dodge with push button gears, which is seemed like high tech in 1979, but it was
my God.
64 Dodge. You push the gears and you had the thing for park, I thought it was cool, even though it was a 64 Dodge.
Yeah, I look at Michael. Michael looks like a Barracuda or an El Camino or Ranchero type of guy or Ford Mustang type of guy. I'm looking at Michael on the show right here, and he's got the Patriot flag, the American flag behind him. But Michael looks like a tough guy too.
No, he drives a Subaru.
What?
I'm joking. Subaru. I'm joking, Mike.
Oh God! Wait a minute.
Mike, we can't hear you.
Mike,
there we go.
Can't hear you.
Believe it or not, now I drive a VW SUV, but believe it or not, like right out of high school, I used to work for this place called Extreme Auto Sports. It's like Gone in 60 Seconds and Fast and Furious and all those were coming out. And I used to have an MR2 I'd built way up, but I built a bunch of like custom cars, but they're usually rice burners, little Japanese turbocharged cars, things like that.
He's a lot younger than us, Randy. He's like half our age. Yeah, he's half our age.
Oh no. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
A little more than half, but
cars.
Yeah.
He likes working on cars. Coming out and working my 91 Oldsmobile, man. This thing needs some work.
I'll take you up on that one of these days.
Well, why don't you tell everyone? I'm gonna post your Facebook page on my Facebook page. But if you want to tell anyone where to look you up beyond that, go ahead and we'll close it out. Michael, you close it out.
Sounds good.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rand.
Really quick, let me just say something. How we joke about the mob really fast. Keep in mind, folks, that while we're not glamorizing, I don't think you or I are glamorizing the mob, but I think they played an intricate role in America because they built Las Vegas, they built Reno, they built Lake Tahoe, they built Cuba, they built Atlantic City. They started the unions in America in the 1930s when there was no unions. They started the first soup kitchens. That was your neck of the woods, Al Capone. You think the government fed all these poor people during the Depression? Al Capone and the mafia fed everybody. Who snuck thousands of soldiers into Sicily and invaded the Germans during World War II? Lucky Luciano. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have a union job, thank God the mafia started the unions. That's all I got to say. I'm Randall Massaro, Randall Massaro. You can call me. My phone number is 442-380-0430. I answer all calls, even from the hunters and the people that hate me and want to shoot me and kill me. I answer all the calls all the time. Also, you can look me up on Facebook or Instagram. Google me, Randall Massaro, and look up Union Members for the Preservation of Wildlife International, also on Facebook. And I'll answer your call. I don't care. I don't mind talking to anybody. I think we got to meet each other halfway and have a happy medium. But I love exposing corruption. The feds are not too happy with me. I'm going to be the animal's voice here. Let me tell you.
Thank you very much. It was an honor to have you on, Randy.
Thank you for having me, you guys. Bless you.
Well, thank you for being here. To our audience, thank you guys for joining us tonight as well. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. We'll be back next week on Tuesday with even more. Thanks again, guys.